What are the top dietary triggers that I see for reflux and heartburn and GERD in the Byron Herbalist Clinic? And today we're just talking about symptom management. We're looking for your dietary triggers. They're, individual and unique to you. They're not all of them, so we have to kind of go on a little journey to find out which ones they are. And it's not root cause treatment, right? So while we're treating the root cause, we're using these dietary triggers that we found, keep them low and slow, eliminate them completely to make sure that you're feeling better while we're resolving the root cause. In future videos, we're going to be talking about stomach acid rebalancing. We're going to be talking about sphincter tone issues and treatments for poor sphincter tone. We're going to be talking about approaches to improve motility and even all the conditions that are associated with poor motility and reflux in general. So without beating around the bush, let's just jump straight into it. There is so much literature on this subject, and everything we'll be outlining here I see clinically as well. So you've got that two-pronged approach. We've got the science saying, look out for this, and clinically, reps, runs on the board, I see a lot of these foods as triggers for the majority of my reflux patients. So from the top level approach, I think this paper summarized it quite nicely. We can see that many studies indicate fatty, fried, sour, and spicy foods and products, orange and orange juice, tomatoes and tomato preserves, chocolate, coffee, tea, carbonated beverages, and alcohol as triggers for GERD symptoms. Eating habits such as irregular meal patterns, a large volume of meals, and eating just before bedtime may correlate with the symptoms of GERD. And those symptoms might be reflux or heartburn, a sore throat, dental erosion, sore lymph nodes under your ears. There are a lot of symptoms that are associated with GERD. So if you look at that list, just cut out all those foods and you'll be fine. That's the end of the video. No, I'm just joking. We have to go through and we have to find which ones are your triggers. And I find that breaking them up into categories can be really helpful because that will also give us a little bit of insight into what your driving factor is, what your root cause is for your reflux. Now there are some overlapping foods in different categories. You'll see a little bit of a theme throughout the different categories, which can make it a little bit harder. But if you feel you fit into one of these categories more than another, again, it's going to give us insight into getting to your root cause and treating it effectively. So category one would be acidic or spicy foods. And it's a little bit of an unclear overlap between actual physical spice and, acidic foods. But many trigger foods for different reflux patients would include things like cayenne pepper and spice in general, tomatoes and tomato products, grapefruit and orange juice, and coffee. Those are all acidic and or spicy foods. If you fall into that category, it's going to tell us what's driving it, and we can work on, resolving and rebalancing that stomach acid as a driver. Category two would be fattier foods, and they can trigger heartburn and reflux for a number of reasons, including lowering that sphincter tone of the LES, the lower esophageal sphincter. They can also increase these transient lower esophageal sphincter relaxations. So you get these kind of like transient relaxations of that sphincter tone, and you wind up with that reflux picture. So it's a little bit different between LES tone and TLESRs. And then the third piece here with a higher fat meal is that for some patients, not everyone, fat can be very healthy, would be that fat can delay gastric emptying. So the stomach hanging onto food a bit too long can lead to, this reflux event and symptoms of GERD. Category 3 would be carbonated liquids, and it depends on the study, but there are some studies that have shown that over 50% of patients with reflux can attribute it to carbonated beverages. They worsen, they flare when they drink drink carbonated beverages. Again, they can lower that LES pressure and they can increase these TLESRs, so that transient lower esophageal relaxation, that pressure, upwards from the stomach into the esophagus. That transient pressure can increase as well with carbonated beverages. These would include things like soft drinks, sodas, pops, whatever you want to call them, depends on where you are in the world. Fermented alcoholic beverages like wine and beer and ciders, they can be big as well. Kombucha, it's this big kind of healthy drink that everyone's drinking to feel better. If you've got reflux, you're drinking kombucha, I would cut it out, see if you feel better. And then also carbonated or sparkling water. Category 4 would be histamine foods, and this is an interesting little category. There are a bunch of foods that are rich in histamine that are very healthy. So again, if you tolerate these foods, you eat them and you don't reflux, don't cut them out. If they feel good, keep them up. And they would be things like tea and coffee. Again, there's a little bit of overlap there with the acidic foods as well, so that's unclear. Chocolate, citrus fruits, tomato, again, a lot of overlap there too. Processed meats and alcohol as well. Those are the top ones there. Rich in histamine that overlap with strong drivers of reflux. There are a bunch of other foods that are rich in histamines that might be triggering your reflux. If you do relate to that category, so, oh look, all those are triggering my reflux, then I would be looking for a low histamine diet handout, and I'd be cutting them out. I'd go on 2 to 4 weeks of low histamine and seeing, wow, I feel so much better, and then we can determine and we can be pretty kind of sure that histamine's driving that, and work on histamine rebalancing and histamine detox. Loads of content on histamine. Here's one that I really like. Avocado can be really big, sauerkraut can be big, kimchi can be really big. There's a few other high histamine foods that I would be limiting if that was you. So what do we do with all this data? That's too much food just to cut out, and we wouldn't have a clear idea on what's driving it. I would take it step by step. Again, if one of those categories kind of, felt right to you, then I'd just cut out all those foods and see how much better do you feel. Always got to treat the root cause. We're going to save that for a future video. And if you don't have a clear idea on what your driver is, I would take it in order of priority. I would be initially do it one at a time and see how you feel. You might do one a week and just keep rolling with it. Coffee and black tea, cut it out on week 1. How much better do you feel? Not so much better. Then I'd cut out the second one. Alcohol for a week, see how much better you feel. Fatty foods, week 3, tomatoes, week 4, citrus, week 5, and chocolate, week 6. And again, if you do see significant improvements along the way, then we can be pretty sure that those foods are driving your reflux symptoms. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video.